This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
I went to Vegas last weekend. Pretty crazy.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Gentlemen, welcome to Las Vegas.
Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet, and we'll go out there, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Some guys just can't handle Vegas.
Hey, everybody, and welcome. My name is Jeff, and this is the very first ever Jeff Does Vegas live webcast. Just wanted to pop on and say a quick hello. Sorry about that. Needed to clear my throat there. Just wanted to come on and say a really quick thank you to everyone who's been taking the time to listen to the podcast and just visit the website, listen to the podcast. I've talked about it a couple of times in a couple of episodes of the show. And when I first started this little endeavor, it was kind of just intended as a nice little creative outlet for myself. Had some spare time. I had a love of the city of Las Vegas. I spent a lot of time there. Multiple trips every year. And a lot of people would ask me, they'd be like, hey, Jeff, I've got some questions about Las Vegas. I've got, I want to know, where should I stay? What should I do? What should I see? Where should I eat? Yada, yada, yada. And so I thought, I should really figure out a way to put this, all of this information into, some kind of something. And so lo and behold, this podcast was born. I tried to come up with some kind of creative name for the podcast, bounced around a lot of stuff, ended up just settling on Jeff Does Vegas. And it seems to be working. I think with the new episode that was released today, I think we're up to about 7,300 total downloads. Each episode is averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of it's somewhere like between 350 and 400 downloads an episode. And I mean, I know that these are not Adam Carolla numbers. They're not, it's not Joe Rogan numbers, and in all honesty, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I could pull those numbers and I could do this for a living, I absolutely would. But I don't think that's a realistic expectation. So sorry about that. Again, coughing. I've been battling a little bit of a throat thing for the last while. Anyways, again, these are not numbers that I'm expecting or anticipating or think will ever happen. If they did, hey, that's fantastic. And that would be amazing. But again, decided to just kind of start doing this podcast and putting it together. And the very first episode that was released, which I think was released on, I want to say the 1st of December of 2018, was a trip report episode. And to see and to listen to the podcast and see how far they've come from that very first episode, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of proud of where they're at. I mean, that very first episode was literally, here's my trip, and here's what I did on day number 1, and here's what I did on day number 2, and day number 3, and blah, blah, blah. And that was terrible. Looking back on it now. Now, that being said, I get a lot of positive feedback on the very first episode. So again, that's fantastic. If that's what y'all are into, hey, I'm happy about that. And again, I appreciate everybody that's downloading and listening. Anyways, here we are, 19 episodes later. Episode 19 was just released today. It's a timeshare episode. I did a great interview with a lady by the name of Lisa Ann Schreier, who is she goes by the title of the Timeshare Crusader, and she is a consumer advocate. She has worked in the timeshare industry. She's been involved with that. She's written some books. She runs a blog. She's a go-to person for a few different websites. And so I brought her into the fold of the podcast and brought her on the episode. It's a longer episode. It goes about an hour, but in all honesty, you're going to learn a lot. If you're a frequent Vegas visitor, you're going to know how the timeshare deal works. If you're a first timer, you're going to want to listen to this so that you have some idea of what to avoid, what to watch out for when you are in Las Vegas and dealing with the timeshare folks. Anyways, yeah. So we're 19 episodes into this thing. I've managed to put together, I think, some pretty great episodes. This thing's starting to get serious. I bought a whiteboard and I've started making spreadsheets. That's how serious this thing has started to get. So again, if you're a frequent listener of the podcast, I really do appreciate everybody that's been jumping on and taking a listen to it. We've got some great stuff coming up. At least I think it's great. I've managed to put together some fantastic guests. At least I think they're fantastic and interesting and educational, and you're going to learn some stuff. I hope. I want to present a podcast that's a little bit different from the standard travel podcasts. I don't want to just do a podcast that involves me talking about stuff or reviewing attractions or hotels or restaurants or shows. And that kind of stuff is going to be here. Don't get me wrong. That's absolutely going to be a part of this podcast. It's going to be a huge part of the podcast, especially when I travel and I come back. Every time I come back, the first episode after I come back is always a trip report episode. So again, that's the kind of stuff that's going to be there. But at the same time, I want to try to bring some new and some interesting things into the fold, just to kind of recap some of the stuff that I've had on the episode in the past. I did a great interview. At least I thought it's a great interview with a gentleman by the name of John D. Domenico, who is a Las Vegas-based entertainer. He's an actor. He specializes in character impersonations, and he has been doing a huge focus on a character that's keeping him very, very busy. If you want to know who that character is, you should go listen to the podcast. That's episode number 18 of the show. I've had Heather Ferris on from VegasAces.com. She teaches casino dealing and teaches people how to play casino games. And I myself have never been a table game player, not once, not ever. But Heather, in talking to her and going over some lessons with her, actually gave me a little bit of confidence to maybe on one of my upcoming trips, sit down and actually play some table games in Vegas. I've chatted with other Vegas podcasters, Chris Kim from Faces and Aces Las Vegas, which is a fantastic Las Vegas podcast. If you want another great one to listen to, facesandaceslv.com is the website. You should go and listen to Chris's podcast. He covers some very, very cool stuff and some really deep and serious subjects too, which is awesome. I had Sergio Portazan on from vivalasvalue.com. Great website, all about how to save money in Las Vegas. Sergio is a young dude. Love this guy. He's, 25 years old, 26 years old. He's been to Vegas like 16 times since he turned 21. He's a gambler and he also loves to save money. So he's helping people or trying to help people with his website. So again, vivalasvalue.com. Just did an interview earlier today with Lauren Wolf from killresortfees.com. So we spent some time talking about resort fees in Las Vegas and how those are affecting people and how it's affecting spending and visitorship in Las Vegas. So we've got that coming up. I've also got one of my very near dear Las Vegas friends, Lisa Marie Smith, who is just a sweetheart. I love her to death. She agreed to sit down and talk to me for like an hour. We finally managed to get our schedules together. And so I've got her coming up on an upcoming episode of the podcast. Got a few other calls in to a few other different places, bouncing around some ideas, and of course, putting it out there as well. If you are going to Las Vegas and you want some help planning your trip, you want some suggestions on where to eat, what to do, what to see, you can always reach out to me and ask me a question. I'll answer it on the podcast. I'll also answer you directly if you want to. You can get me via all the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Jeff Does Vegas. And then, of course, you can also email me directly, Jeff@walkernewmedia.com. So there you go. That's just a a little tiny bit of what we've got kind of coming up on the podcast over the next little while. And again, I just, I want to say thanks to everybody that's been jumping on. Like I say, like 7,300 downloads. That is nothing to sneeze at. It's something, but it's only something because of you and because of all of you folks who are listening, downloading, jumping on the website, jeffdoesvegas.com. The podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iTunes. We're on Podbean. We're on a ton of different platforms. So again, if that's a thing that you want to do, you absolutely positively have to go and check it out. Okay. So again, thank you. I appreciate the 11 minutes of your day that I've wasted. And I would implore you to go and check out Jeff Does Vegas at jeffdoesvegas.com. Have yourself a fantastic one. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.